Welcome to the Ask Amanda Show, where we solve everyday problems for the small business owner. I'm your host, Amanda Benson-Tilch. On today's show, you'll get nuggets of inspiration, access to experts, and answers to those burning questions preventing you from growth. Remember to listen all the way until the end, as that's usually where the nuggets are. Let's get into it.
Human resources is one of the most important areas any company must have. With over 10 years of dedicated service to the businesses of Santa Clarita Valley, 6 Degrees HR Consulting is the go-to company for all things HR. For those all-important handbooks, harassment trainings, policies, and employee relations, give 6 Degrees a call. 661-432-1088.
This episode of the Ask Amanda Show is brought to you by your hometown high fire area specialist since 2014, Damian White with Farmers Insurance. Damian White has been successful in helping SCB friends and family obtain insurance while others couldn't. With Farmers Insurance and their affiliate partners, Damian has quick turnaround times. They're fully staffed with 2 locations ready to serve you. You can reach Damian by calling 661-394-2802.
Welcome to another episode of the Ask Amanda Show. I'm very excited. Season 4 so far has been great. This is episode 2, and I'm sitting here with my guest, a repeat guest, actually. You might recognize him from season 2, I believe. This is Christopher Ingram. Chris Ingram, welcome to the Ask Amanda Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being back. However, we are going to talk a little bit different this time. Last time you were here, obviously you're a financial advisor. You own Prosperitas Financial, and last time you were here, you gave us a ton of great tips. I mean, a ton of great tips. I feel like that could have been a 2-hour episode.
That was 10 tips for business owners?
Yes,
yeah, we really,
you remember?
I think we went overboard on, lots of information.
We did. It was great. But this time, I wanted to have you on as a business owner and kind of, how many years now have you owned Prosperitas Financial?
So 3.5, I believe.
Okay. So I feel like now you have some great tips to share with our audience on what it's like to be a business owner now and how it was to launch that and start that and the ideas behind that. So that's what our conversation is going to be about today. So Chris, tell us why you started Prosperitas Financial, and describe it. What is that to everybody?
Okay. So where do I begin? I think it really started about just shy of my 20 years as a financial advisor. And so I really started to kind of look at my life and what I was doing as a financial advisor. And the question became, do I just stay the same or do I do something different? Do I evolve into a new chapter? And so I think at that point in my financial services career as a financial advisor, I think I can say at that point, like I felt like I had made it. And I could just coast and I could live the rest of my life doing what I was doing and be totally fine. But I'm not really good at that. We were just talking about it beforehand. So I have a hard time, and I get bored very easy just maintaining. And so I think I knew that deep down inside. And my whole thing is continuing to try to be better tomorrow than I am today, or today than I was yesterday. And so it really started to push me in the direction of saying, okay, I can't just continue to do what I'm doing. I need to take it to the next level. And so what I did is I started to analyze the industry and really looked at it from 2 different perspectives of what I felt the industry needed and the direction that it was going. And so the first one was from the client perspective. Always client first, right?
Smart.
Everything that I do is let's think about what the client needs and what the client wants first. And so from the client's perspective, the way I viewed it is that they really wanted somebody to manage all aspects of their financial life. There's something in our business called a family office, and they typically restrict that to ultra high net worth people. But in those family offices, they take the client and they manage everything from A to Z with regards to their financial life. If they buy a piece of real estate, they're involved in it. If they are investing money, they're involved in it. Paying their bills and bookkeeping, their business, everything they do is run through that office, and the office assists them with it to make sure that they're optimizing every area in their financial life. That is typically not available to the average client, but that's what the average client wants. They don't know how to tie all these pieces together. They don't know how to do it properly. And so they're looking for somebody to really come in and take over everything and guide them to their goals and financial success in the future. And so the first thing I thought of was, how do we bring that level of service that they're giving to these ultra high net worth, those family offices, and how do I bring that down to a level that every client can get it, because every client needs it and every client wants it,
and educate them on why that's important.
For sure. And I would say one of the biggest flaws I think or mistakes clients make is not understanding why it's important and how beneficial it is to them to have somebody really fine-tuning all aspects of their financial life.
Listen, until you just said a family office and described the people with that high net worth, well, that's how they got there.
True.
So why wouldn't you tell, like, now I get it. Like, right. I mean, I already got it before, but like, right. That does make sense to the average person, right? I mean, that's the education I feel like that needs to get out there more. Like, if you have, even if you want to be partially like that, you know, why wouldn't you go to somebody like that would help you kind of achieve the same thing?
Right. Well, I think the problem was they were attempting to go to people like that and they couldn't get it anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody was able to really provide that. So what ends up happening is they fragment their financial life into, they have an estate planning attorney, they have a financial advisor, they have an insurance agent, they have a property and casualty guy. They have all these different people that don't know each other.
CPA,
are not commuting,
CPA.
CPA. They're not communicating together, and so they're bouncing from person to person. They're getting different advice. They're getting pushed in different directions. Some people are trying to sell them insurance. Another one's trying to sell them investments. So they feel like it's not all tied together, and they can't get what they're really looking for.
And it's stressful. That's stressful.
For sure.
Yeah.
And people feel lost. I can't tell you how many clients that come to me and they just go, I just don't know what's going on. I'm meeting with a client in the next week or so. I've had my first meeting with them. They've got a very large estate, 15 million plus, and the wife looked at me and she said, I don't know what's going on with any of our stuff.
So scary.
I have no idea where our money is, how it's doing, where our real estate, nothing. I feel so lost. Nobody's communicating with us, and we don't know what's going on. And so when I described to them, and they're a larger client, obviously, but still describing to them, you need somebody that's going to tie all these things together and be the quarterback and the coach of your team and make sure that all these pieces are working together to get you where you want to go and give you the peace of mind knowing that everything is aligned and doing exactly what it's supposed to do and explaining it to you in a way and educating it to you in a way where you no longer feel lost. You're like, no, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Chris and his team are taking care of it. We're good. We know exactly where everything is. We have no questions.
So that's the idea of why you decided to put this together.
So number two,
okay.
So looking at it from the other perspective is from the advisor's perspective. Having been an advisor that was almost 20 years in the business, what I realized is the reason that most advisors aren't doing it is because it's very time consuming. It's very difficult. Some of them, frankly, just don't understand all those different areas. And so they're trying to moonlight in all these areas. A jack of all trades, a master of none. Mm-hmm. So they really aren't good at any of them. And some of them are afraid to dive into some of these other areas, so they don't even bring them up. And so their lives were very difficult because clients are coming requesting that. But if a client comes to you and says, hey, I'm about to fill out my FAFSA because my kids are going to go to college, and is this the right college? And they're like, oh, I don't really know. I don't know the answers to those questions. So some advisors want to be and provide that service. They just don't know how, or they don't have the resources or the knowledge to be able to do it. Other advisors are just terrible at their job, and they just don't do it.
It's not their specialty, though, too. I mean, that's a lot of specialties you're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what we looked at Prosperitas Financial was that not only did we want clients to be able to get this service, we wanted to be able to help advisors and provide them with the tool and resources to be able to provide this service to their clients. And so now it's about creating the program that is going to be able to serve the needs of the client. But now it's also being able to bring advisors in that have good intentions. They want to do the right things for their clients. They want to provide this service. It's just physically almost impossible for them the way they're currently set up. And now we bring them into Prosperitas, and I surround them with college planners, estate planning attorneys, CPAs, disability insurance agents, business attorneys, business consultants, all these people, right? That now they can go to the table with all these different specialists in these different areas and make sure that their client is truly getting the best advice from all the different areas that they need.
Yeah.
And then be the coach, be the person that's sitting in the middle, making sure that everybody's doing their job and providing that service to their clients.
So from a client's perspective and from an expert's perspective, I guess, right?
Yeah.
An advisor's perspective. So this became your business model.
Right. So, and that's where it evolved, was me no longer just being a financial advisor. It was me looking at my career, my life, the things that I wanted to do for my clients, and figuring out how to create a company that would optimize not only the service that clients would get, but give that same opportunity to the advisors to provide that to their clients. And so that was the creation of Prosperitas Financial. And so Prosperitas, they often look at me as two people within the firm. I'm still a financial advisor. I still have my book of business. But as the CEO of the firm, really our job at the firm is providing these tools and resources to make advisors more productive and better advisors when they're working with their clients.
Which is great. It's a great business model. What does Prosperitas mean?
So we went through a bunch of different names and logos and all that kind of stuff.
I'm sure you did. That's something I could tell that's something that you love to do.
Yeah. Well, and so we have different personalities in the office. Some are older, some are younger. Yeah. So, I think we had hot pink in our logo at one time. So we went through all kinds of different, directions. Yeah. But I think Prosperitas was the first name, and then we went through 100 different names, and we ended up coming back to it.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Really, we went through a weird path, and then it was like, okay, so let's go with the first one. We wasted all that time. We like the first one the best. And Prosperitas, it's Latin for prosperity. And really it's good fortune or, providing good fortune to all. And so we really look at it as, that's what we're in the business of doing. It's providing good fortune, good results, helping people accomplish their goals. And that was kind of summarized in that one name.
I love that. When you thought about starting this business, obviously, so you're, married with 4 kids.
Yes.
I got to bring this up.
Yes, you do.
Because there is a lot of risk involved in starting your own business. You went from what you said, very comfortable, to then taking a lot of risk. And how was that with your wife? And did you guys talk about like, hey, I'm going to start being this business owner? Because you have 4 kids, I believe, that are all very active.
They are.
And I don't just mean like in sports
right.
and stuff.
They do a lot of stuff.
They do a lot of stuff. And they're different ages, right? So they're like a couple in high school and middle school. But at that time, so like how was that conversation with your wife? And like, I just think that's important for people to like kind of, if you're going to launch something, how is your support system?
Right. And I think everybody's going to be different, obviously, the relationship they have and the personalities of the spouses and whatnot.
And your responsibility in the household.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think I have a harder time with it than my wife does. My wife is probably the most supportive, whatever you want to do kind of person. I'm not in one of those relationships where if I said I'm going out tonight because I have to go to a work event, or I'm going to a podcast on Saturday, my wife is always like, good for you, go do what you have to do. She never really puts any pressure on me being away or any of that kind of stuff. So she's super supportive in all areas of that kind of stuff. So I'm very lucky with that. Where I think the challenge comes in is more in my world, and the way that I view it is when I did roll into Prosperitas from being a financial advisor, the hours and the time and the responsibilities and the phone calls and the text messages and the emails. Now I don't just have, clients calling me. I have advisors texting me at all hours of the day, asking me questions, wanting to, meet with me and collaborate and talk about stuff. And so the requests or the need for my attention was spread out even more, and it continues. Every new advisor we bring in, it's a new person that wants to have time with me, talk to me, business plan with me.
Well, I'm sure now you've probably developed an onboarding process for that, which hopefully, But when you start to build your business, you've got to think about the brand and the marketing and like the location and how to furnish it and all the leases and all that stuff, right? I mean, that's so time consuming as well.
The beginning was crazy. Now I have great partners and people involved that helped out a lot, so that was huge. If it would have been solely me doing it, it would have been way worse. So kudos to them and for them being there.
Well, that's important. That's good to have like a team.
It is 100%. Yeah, because
at
you
home
need to be able
and at work.
And we all know it, but it's also about identifying what you do well and what you don't do well, your strengths and weaknesses. And so I think that was another thing that I got lucky with, is I surrounded myself with people that are good at things that I'm not good at.
Right.
And so they're able to pick up in areas that I don't want to do that. And it doesn't interest me, it doesn't excite me, but it interests them and it excites them. And so they pick up that piece and take it. So that helped a lot. I think going back to the kids is the hardest thing. I do have a senior in high school that's getting ready to go to college. I've got a sophomore in high school. I've got an 8th grader and a 6th grader. They dance and they play basketball and they play volleyball and they're constantly moving and all that kind of stuff. And I'm the dad. I've coached every team that I could. Every time the opportunity presents itself, I want to be at every dance, every game, everything. And so the challenge of trying to juggle it all sometimes weighs on me.
Yeah.
But it kind of like everything in life, I just have an attitude of just get it done. So if I have to run to a basketball game and then turn around and run back to the office and then run back home, and it is what it is. It's part of the process, and having the goals of being there for the family and being a good dad and a good husband, and also building a business at the same time.
Yeah. And also taking care of yourself, because if you are doing all that running, it's not just about having good shoes on. It's about being, the nutrition and everything, and being able to get good sleep and all that stuff, because being a business owner and a family man, it's like those two things are so demanding. So you have to take care of yourself, and I know you do.
Absolutely.
I watch you on Instagram.
I worked out before I got here.
Yeah, me too. I didn't mind it. So good job.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about when you started the business, because you mentioned like your brand and the logo and all the fun things. Like, what marketing challenges do you have? Because as you mentioned, like, this is not something that is known for the average person. So like, you're marketing to the clients to get them in the door. Like, hey, we're kind of a one-stop shop, or I don't know if you want to say that, but in a way. But then also you're trying to market to advisors to bring them on. So like, talk to us about that and what challenges you might have with that, and probably ongoing.
Yeah. I think the first thing was really understanding, right? I heard somebody say at a seminar I was at, and they said, if you're going to post a piece of social media content, what is the purpose of that content? What are you trying to get out of that post? And so I try to remind myself of that every time you're doing something. And so I think the challenge we had in the beginning was understanding who was the audience we were trying to reach, because previously, as a financial advisor, my target market was the clients that I was trying to do business with. Once we started Prosperitas, I started to realize, okay, so we still want to get the message out to clients of what we provide and the opportunities we present to them. And for our advisors that are at the firm, we want to reach out to clients and show all these great advisors that they have the opportunity to work with and all the things that they're going to get from them. But as a firm, we're also now looking at it from the standpoint of trying to get our message out to the advisors and let them know the opportunities that we provide to them and what we can bring to the table for their business. And then at the same time, now I have all these strategic partners where, I'm having strategic partners come to me and say, let's talk about my business plan. So I'm talking about business plans for, a college planner and business plans for an estate planning attorney. And, so we're talking about a lot of different businesses and a lot of different marketing ventures and a lot of different things that you're trying to do. So the scope of who we're marketing to and where our what attention we're trying to get has gotten much bigger. And trying to fine-tune that and segment that and be able to meet all of those needs has been a bit of a challenge.
Do you work with a marketing company, like a marketing firm,
so
directly?
We, early on, I hope everybody, especially in the Santa Clarita area, would say that we did a fabulous job when we first started the company.
Yeah, your brand was everywhere.
We were everywhere. And we really blanketed the community with our information. And really, hats off to two people primarily in our office. One is Brooke. Brooke is she's kind of graduated into being our operations manager at the firm, but she was responsible for a lot of that marketing and getting that content out, and she did an absolutely incredible job early on of making sure that she was posting regularly and putting the content out and making it all look the same, and getting advisors to do videos and getting everybody on board, and she did a phenomenal job. So hats off to her. The other one was Mark. Mark is one of my partners, and he did a lot of the editing early on and, putting the branding on it and making it all look the same and making sure it looked professional and all that kind of stuff. So we did a lot of it in-house in the beginning, and we did a very good job of it. I think as we've continued to grow, that's the next challenge that we're dealing
Yeah.
with currently, is that we're all so busy in the office with all of the massive amounts of growth that we've had. I mean, we have somewhere around 3 to 5 advisors that are joining us just between now and probably the end of the year, first quarter of next year.
great.
So the amount of people coming in and new clients and new business, it's gotten to be so much that Brooke is busy being the operations manager, and she doesn't have as much time to post on social and make sure it's edited and get the advisors in to do the videos. So we're contemplating right now is how to transition into that next level and bring on a team or bring on other people.
I like
to do
the
that.
idea, and just my 2 cents, but I like the idea of you bringing on a team, because your office setup is so great that I feel like if you did have somebody in-house, A, you could control it. You can control the content. You have people there that can create content right away. And it's not an outside firm asking you to send them content or like, do you know what I'm saying? And that's a challenge. And I do think with something that, again, my 2 cents, but like with me knowing your office and who's in your office, you have a lot of dynamic personalities.
We do.
Yeah. That would do good with video,
right?
And just quick messaging, you know, that would capture and relate to people, other advisors, as far as, and we're going to talk about this next, but like your company culture, like, hey, this is why you want to come work with us, but also grabbing the attention of, you know, the average person and trying to do business with them. You know, I think if you could bring somebody in house, and I know you happen to have a little studio, I think, right?
We do have a studio. Our studio is pretty nice. I like our studio.
Nice.
I was at a seminar in Vegas, and there was a pretty well-known, what do you want to call him, influencer, business coach, online, social media, that kind of stuff. And he was doing a presentation. And one of the things he talked about, and I've really been thinking about it a lot lately, is he basically said he has somebody follow him all day.
Yeah.
He's like, other than the bedroom and the bathroom, this person is with me. They got the camera on me. And the reason I thought it was so interesting is I know me personally, the little nuggets, like the gems come out at the most random times.
Yes.
And typically nobody's there to capture them. And I know the rest of my staff is that way too. Like you said, we have so many people at the firm that have really great information to share. It pops up at weird times. And if there was somebody there that was constantly recording or available immediately to capture those things, I think we would get a lot more content out there. So that's another thing that I am exploring and trying to figure out.
I did that. It was the Ask Amanda vlog. I did that. I did after the Gary Vaynerchuk. That was like what he did. He hired somebody and started his vlog. So I did it. I had a great videographer and photographer that hung out with me for 2 days. And we went to like a conference and we did a bunch of stuff. And we had so much fun doing it. And I just couldn't afford it to be with me all the time, you know? And my life is crazy because, I do a lot of things. And so I always want to go back to doing that, especially now. This was probably 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. And I would love to go do that now because I run and I manage a bunch of different things. And I think people would be interested to see a day in the life, kind of to my point of what you do, you know? And it's not only inspiring, it's also like, it's educational. So it's like, oh, it is possible to do these things, or this is how she juggles it, or how he manages that. It wouldn't be, you don't have to do it constantly.
Right.
It could just be one day a week or something,
it's just finding
and affordable, right?
There's been a couple of times recently. My son has been going through some challenges with basketball and some different things going on at his school. It's really unfortunate circumstance. And then my daughter just getting ready to go to college and those kinds of things. And I've had a couple of conversations, late night, sitting on the counter in my kitchen with the two of them, where I'm like, man, everybody on the planet needs to hear this.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's almost like this is business stuff. This is life. These are life things, because I often talk to them about, what you're dealing with right now. While it feels so big because you're in high school and life is so, trapped in this little community that you have, and it seems like these are the lessons that are going to make you successful in the future. And a lot of people have failed to learn those lessons even as adults, and they still need to learn those lessons. So, that's why I'm always like, man, if someone was here right now, this is
also, they wouldn't want that, though. They'd be like, Dad, get the camera out of my face.
So that is
But you could have this person in the office,
Right.
like a 9 to 7 or whatever your hours, because I know everybody's different over there. But
Right.
anyway, something to think about.
Yeah.
I like this concept, and I will revisit this concept with you later in your
like
life
it.
because I want to know if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. There's a lot of nuggets there. But let's talk about, since we're talking about the office, like your company culture there, and what is it that you're trying to create? I love your office vibe. It's so welcoming and bright and busy in a way, but it's not loud and obnoxious. And explain to us like how you kind of developed that culture of what you wanted, what you envisioned that to be like.
Yeah. I mean, you hit on a word that I think was very important to us right off the bat. If you walk into our office, it's very different than what you would typically see from an old school financial services office.
What actually your old office looked like.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Hunter green carpet and the dark redwood tables and
these
the
old
all
chairs.
Yeah. So
not these chairs.
really,
but other chairs.
really we wanted this bright, light, exciting atmosphere to walk into because like I tell clients a lot of times, planning for your financial future and dreaming about what you want your life to look like is exciting. It should be fun. So the vibe when you walk into the office should be light, bright, exciting, something that they're looking forward to, not this gloomy, like I'm going to the doctor's
Scary.
office
Yeah,
and I'm going to get a root canal today. You know what I mean? So it just, it should be light and bright. So that was the first thing. When we structured or designed the office, and my wife helped with that a lot, is we wanted the look to be very bright and inviting. The next thing I would say is from a culture, and I've said this from the day I got the first group together and said, hey, this is what I want Prosperitas to look like. It's been this vibe that we want every single person that works for the company, and it's this, I'm excited to be there. I want to be a part of the team. I have fun being at work. I'm fun to be around. We're very critical of who we allow to be a part of the team. You could be a financial advisor who has the most gigantic book of business on the planet, and everybody would think they're a perfect fit, and we want them as part of the team. If they're not nice to my staff and they're not fun to be around and they're not going to mesh with the team and be a part of the team, we will not take them on. And we're very strict about that. We want to keep that level of family feel in the office. And then I would say that culture really is that teamwork philosophy. So everybody should be willing to help out the person in the office next to them. It's not an adversarial vibe, even between my advisors. It's, hey, let's collaborate on this, or maybe I can share an idea with you, or maybe I do something better than you do, so maybe we can kind of, work off of each other on this.
That's what I like about the feel of your office, because it's like very open.
Yeah, everybody's kind of talking to everybody.
Yeah, nobody's behind a closed door.
No, and nobody's trying to. We all have the idea that there's plenty of business out there for everybody. So let's help. I always say one of my famous lines, and I don't even know if I say the quote right, but it's a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So my attitude is if we all work together, we can do so much more collectively than we would locking ourselves in our office and trying to do it individually. And so it's really everybody's out in the hallways and talking to each other and trying to come up with ideas and push everybody to a better place together. And so that's what we're looking for. And we make sure everybody knows that.
Yeah. However, you are very competitive. Let's talk about where you were, where your whole team was on Thursday night.
Yeah. So we do.
Speaking of a family, I think it's really good. Like you do these team outings, right?
Yeah, we do. We do a lot of fun things together. We get out as a group, and
I had to bring it up.
Yeah, Thursday we went to MB2, which is, for those that don't know, it's a go-kart racing place. And Brooke set it up and got everybody out there, and I think we have a very competitive group of people in general, including Brooke, by the way. So she's watching. She's competitive. But everybody was fighting for first place. And, I was clearly not happy with my second place finish.
So at the end of MB2 or whatever, when you're done, there actually is a place where you can take a photo, like a finish line, and there's a first place, second place, third place, much like the Olympics or whatever. And I see a picture of Chris, and he's on the second place totem area, and I was like, "What is that about?"
Yeah.
And then Robert's up there holding.
Yeah, and I have
Anyways,
a
it just was great.
yeah, I have a fear of coming in second, and it is part of who I am, and I don't like it very much, but I accept it.
Yeah.
I made some excuses.
I brought it up because I do think, like, going back to your culture, like, I love that you guys do this. It's not a stuffy environment. It's very welcoming. You guys are super supportive and friendly. And every time, you know, I've been to any of your events and done things, I just feel like it's so, I don't know, like homey. It's very family. I think you're doing a great job. I think it's exactly what you wanted it to be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. I put a post up not too long ago. One of the new advisors that joined us, and I said in there, you know, actually it was one of our hiring because we're currently looking for client service associates. So we're hiring right now if you're looking for a job. Yeah. And so I put in that post, you know, let us know if you want to be a part of one of the fastest growing financial service families. Mm-hmm. And that does go back to really the message that is put out into the office on a regular basis is that we are a family. We're working together. We spend time together. We do fun things together. We go on vacations together. We try to bond and have a real relationship with everybody in the office, know their spouses, know their children, all of those kinds of things. Because it like everything in life, that's the really important part, right? And so that's, you know, we're all trying, you know, yes, we go to work and yes, we're trying to do all these things and we have goals and all that stuff. But really at the end of the day, I say this to clients all the time, you know, really we're all just trying to fulfill our dreams and desires of what we want our life to look like. And it's the same for your employees. So we want the employees and the advisors, we want everybody to have the kind of life that they really desire and what they want. And some of that comes from the top down. I mean, if your employees are miserable, you have nobody to blame but the people at the top. So,
everything comes from the top down.
Yeah. So we take that to heart.
Mm-hmm, that's good. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what the future looks like for Prosperitas?
Yeah. So growth. I mean, you know, really we want, we're what's called a registered investment advisory firm, RIA is how people typically refer to it. And so we want to be a top 25 RIA in the country. I mean, really that's the goal. That's what we're shooting for. And it's going to take time. We're definitely on the right path. And so we've started with California, Valencia, Woodland Hills, Encino, Santa Monica, Orange County, Pasadena, Thousand Oaks and Westlake area. So now we're talking to people in the Santa Barbara, the Bay Area up there. So we're going north into California. Okay. So we're kind of moving and opening different offices with different advisors throughout the California area. Mm-hmm. We're in the process of opening an office in Las Vegas right now.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, that one's a good one because, being a Raiders fan, I have an excuse to go out there and visit my team.
So that was strategic.
Maybe a little bit.
Funny.
And then we're talking to people in Austin, Texas. We're talking to people out in New York, Chicago, Florida. So the goal is to spread across the country and create kind of like what would you call it? I don't know what you would call it, but taking what we believe is the right way to do this job and giving it to more and more people. We don't look at it as like we're just trying to go out there and take over.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to like spread love in a way, right? We feel like we do it right and we're doing really good things for clients and they deserve to get this level of service. And so how do we get in front of more people? How do we get this level of service out to as many people as we possibly can?
So would these be like satellite offices that you're kind of talking about?
Yeah, so we talk like Vegas. We met an advisor. She was currently working in the Vegas area. And so we talked to her about joining the team. And then she's kind of taking on the, let's call it branch manager role of opening up the office. And so we're figuring out, so what do we want the office to look like and how do we market to that community, Prosperitas, and get her going and her team going. And then we'll recruit advisors to her office and kind of build up that presence in that area. And she'll kind of run that office and then do it again with other advisors in other areas that want to do that kind of thing.
Your role will sort of shift a bit, you and your partners, right, of like doing that in other locations.
Correct.
It's really great. I love this concept.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
And it's a great brand. I feel like it's a brand that it could be in multiple locations. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not community oriented.
Right. That's part of when we designed it was we knew we wanted to go that way. And so we didn't want it to, again, like Ingram.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
We wanted
Yeah.
to have a nationwide presence and really have a branding that other advisors could use in their community to continue to grow.
One thing I learned about that, so when I was 22, I started my very first business, and it was a flower shop here in the area. And the owners of the building, it was going to be in a brand new building construction being built, and on Cinema Drive. And they were like, oh, you should, and I was 22, you should name it Cinema Park Florist.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and so I did. And then when it came time, I was like, I had things going on in my life and I wanted to sell it. Well, it's stuck on Cinema Drive, right? Because I named it Cinema Park. So, you know, kind of like a big lesson learned there as far as branding goes. So you guys, I've been doing this a long time. So listen to all these little tips because they're good advice. You know,
that is good because now you got a bunch of florists that are thinking they have to sell to the movie theaters or something.
Or like Amanda's Flowers. Well, what if Johnny wanted to buy it?
100%. Now I've seen it before.
They're going to be like, "Where's Amanda? Amanda who?" Right? I mean, you have to think about all these things. So. Lesson learned, you guys. Yeah. Well, I loved our conversation today. I'm excited for your future.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see, you know, more of a vlog coming from you guys. Holding you accountable.
We'll work on that. I appreciate that.
Right. You're welcome. I'm actually excited about, we were talking about off camera, maybe you kind of starting back up your podcast that you do. I'm excited to see more about that. So I know you'll probably mention that a little bit down the road, but please be following Chris and Prosperitas Financial and all the advisors that you guys have there in your growth. I'm very excited for you. I'm thankful for you sharing your story today.
Yeah,
I think it was going to be super helpful for people that are interested to know what it's like to start a business, but more of I don't know what would we describe your business to be, like this community business? I mean,
I think
umbrella of finance, you know, of advisors.
Yeah, I think, you know, any business, it's if you're going to get into business, like leading with your heart. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you going to give to people that is so above and beyond what they're expecting? And if you lead with the right intention, and you build your business and your model and your plans around providing a service that is going to be truly impactful to the people that you touch, you're going to be successful. But most people, you know, not most people, unfortunately, people focus on, you know, how's it going to generate revenue and how am I going to make money and how am I going to, you know, and that is not the right way to lead into it. It has to be, I want to change the world to some degree in that field. I want to provide a service that's going to help people and help them grow and evolve. And if that's where your heart's at and that's where you're really focusing when you design the business and lay it out, I think you're going to be successful.
I agree with you. I just want to add one thing. You started it with solving a problem for two different types of demographics, clients and advisors. And you've definitely succeeded in that.
Thank you.
I think. You're welcome. Thank you for being here on the Ask Amanda Show.
Thank you so much. The show's amazing, and everybody check out Amanda. Continue to follow her. It's going to be a great season. You always do such a good job with these podcasts. So I thank you for having me on.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah,
right. That's why we do it.
Yeah,
leading with my heart.
There you
go. As you say.
That's right.
Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ask Amanda Show. If you'd like more information on today's guest, be sure to see the show notes, or you can visit my website at askamandaconsulting.com. I'd love to hear what you thought about today's show. Please leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or you can rate the show if you're listening on iTunes. Thanks again for tuning in.